Hello and welcome to Roll-Righ-In Academy podcast brought to you by Studio Alpha Capital. My name is Fabian and today we have a special follow-up discussion about an important topic that often goes unaddressed in the entrepreneurship world, namely burnout. In our previous episode, we had an enlightening conversation with Brian Spears, the former founder and CEO of New Age Eats. You find that on our Roll-Righ-In YouTube channel. He talked about the high pressure environment, the stressors he faced, and how these factors affected his mental health, ultimately leading him towards a burnout. Today, I am joined by my partner and friend, Professor Dr. Andy, a distinguished researcher and lecturer on entrepreneurship and innovation. Let's dive in. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Fabian. How's life in San Diego?
Yes, it's just too good. I'm loving it. Yeah.
So summer arrived as well in Switzerland. Okay.
So I mean, So I'm very curious what you put together for us because it's kind of taboo, right? So we are entrepreneurs. We are all cool. We always relax. A lot of pressure. We take a lot of risk, and we don't show any weaknesses, right?
Mm.
But today, that's exactly about this. Let's start.
So, I hold a PhD in business administration, not in psychology. So I try to explain it by this theory. So four slides I want to share to maybe that helps to a little bit to explain what happened here to Brian and maybe also to many other entrepreneurs worldwide. Right. Yes, sorry for that. It's not for me. It's Howard Stevenson. He's a Harvard professor on entrepreneurship, and I liked it very much. This differentiation between what is a typical entrepreneurial domain. So what are key business dimensions? What are also key activities in this different domain, or compared to trustees, and he calls it the administrative domain. And at the beginning, founding teams must be active in this entrepreneurial domain. So if you read this rapidly changing consumer needs, technology, it's very action oriented. And yes, of course, you have a lack of predictable resources that you need. You have also a lack of long-term control. Then you have to coordinate resources that you cannot control. So I think only when you look at all these pressures toward this side, that means for such a funding team that they have to deal with uncertainty, and this is very tough. So there's a lot of pressure. Later, however,
it's like flying to the moon. It's like in 68 flying to the moon.
It's high risk. It's not predictable. It's you have always to do things with resources you don't have, and skills maybe you don't have, but still, however, later these founder teams, they have more and more. They have to develop also skills and activities in this administrative domain, because when the company is growing, then you become a manager. Even if you're the founder of the company, you become also a manager. And I think this is not that easy because, these are completely different activities or skills that you need in this administrative domain. So this at least is really very exhausting to do so. And I think therefore these teams must be able to withstand a lot and be flexible to move between these two domains. And now Bill Bygrave from Babson College, he conducted a study with Babson and alumni that started a new venture after when they finished their studies. And it's a retrospective of 5 years after finishing their studies. And in this specific slide, you see the dependent variable is the sales per employee. So did the company make more sales per employee than others? And what we see here is that companies that had one founder, they had less sales per employee than companies who had 2 or 3 founders. And when there were 4 or 5 founders as well, the sales per employee was lower on a significant base. So when we say, okay, what is now the optimal number of founders? It's 2.5 or between 2 and 3, but why? And the explanation is, on one hand, when the team is heterogeneous, the different skills of the team complement each other. So that helps. Maybe you have someone who is really good in dealing with risks and this versus currently not controlled, and others are maybe better in building strategies, in fixing things down, so get things done, and so you can share this knowledge on one hand. But I think this is the link to Brian's story, is that you have so much pressure as a founder team, not only at the beginning, during the whole journey of your entrepreneurial journey, that you can spread that pressure on several shoulders. So that when you are in a crisis personally, maybe your other 2 founders are not, and then they can run the business. And Belbin, that's maybe one reason that he said, okay, you need different roles, so different roles in a team. So you need people who are shapers, who really are action oriented, that implement things, that get shit done. Then you have also roles where these people are more people oriented, so they coordinate, they are team players, stuff like that. And then also you need thought-oriented roles, so the thinkers in such a team. And it's my guess that Brian had to cover all these in one person. So he had to move between these different domains, and he had to cover all these roles in one person. And yes, that's not that easy. And the latest slide I wanted to show is that it comes from a work from Kirsten Wagner and I that we did several years ago. In this study, we recognized that growth entrepreneurs, and Brian is one of these growth entrepreneurs, they have an internal locus of control. So in other words, success and failure are attributed to their own skills and their own behavior. So it's not the market, it's not the competition, it's not the bad timing or whatever. It's always them who are responsible for success and or failure. And these entrepreneurs perceive every failure of the company as a personal failure. And in the long run, this can make people ill. So I think this is maybe an explanation of what happened in this specific case of Brian. Yes.
Okay.
And yet, maybe we can also mirror our experiences. Maybe when we look at this, what would you say when we founded VCOM 20 years ago? It was not you alone. It was not me alone or Homie. So I think, yeah, it's exactly what maybe it's luck that we had these 3 roles in the team. But yes, I think you were the guy who shaped the company, who implemented things. homie was really a good guy. He looked for the health, the team health. And yes, I was the thinker in the team, and I believe this is a success factor for us as a team, that we could overcome these barriers, and to not to struggle too much with all these different problems that we were confronted during our entrepreneurial journey. I don't know. What is your opinion? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's unbelievable that there's a theory that basically mirrors how we were set up. You know, we didn't knew these theories back then, you know, when we started our company. Yeah, it's absolutely the case. So, and also what I also thought in the first slide, when I just mentioned, I just realized that to me in the beginning, or still today, it was an adventure. I was loving that. I love to be in a team, a small team with you and homie, and then just set, you know, how do you say in English, set the sails and sail on and discover America. And we don't know if there is an America, right? And I just, you know, I just love that.
Yeah, that's I think it's an African saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And yes, I think funding a company and building the company, growing company, it's going far. It's not going fast. No, so I think that helps. Also, this saying, and what I also realized was that we had once a terrible meeting with the customer in the watch industry.
Yeah, it's Swatch.
Yeah,
it was indeed. Yeah,
and I remember there was a procurement manager, and he kicked us. As really, that was so tough, this critique. And I remember well when we were driving back to Zurich in the train. He was really not a nice person. And yes, of course, you take this personal. And I remember you were in a very stable situation personally at this time. And then you said, "Hey, come on! It was just a meeting." And
it's an asshole. It's just...
Yeah, and then we didn't convince him. We didn't convince him with our arguments and with our solutions. And hey, come on! Tomorrow is a new day. And another situation. We were at Nestle. We were completely wrong prepared for that meeting with I think German slides, and it was an international group, and yeah, and
these guys. You had a friend. He's basically became then the boss who invented, you know, with his team, Nespresso.
Producer of Nespresso.
Yeah, whatever, exactly. No, but you know,
you were very down after this meeting, and for me it was okay. Yeah. Come on,
that's true. That's true.
I think this is what and Brian, he experienced this now day by day by day, and if you don't have two other bodies who can help to carry that load, yes, of course, then probably one day you get sick. So.
Also, that's basically also a good example, the Nestle one. That was early on, and we had a network. So you knew this guy because he's coming from the eastern part of Switzerland as well, and he was like this super manager at Nestle, and he opened door for us. You know, he wanted to help us, and we were so completely unconcentrated. We were so chaotic. We went to Yverdon. We went to Yverdon instead to Worldwebforum. And then we were there on time. Yverdon, and they go like, huh, there's no meeting for you guys. And they had, yes. And you know, this boss and blah, blah. And then 10 minutes later, yeah, the meeting is not in Yverdon, it's in Worldwebforum. And we, holy shit. Yeah, people are waiting there for you. And we knew there must be some good guys. Okay, so we drove down there with it was an old car. We just full throttle from Yverdon to Worldwebforum. We arrived. It was a very hot day. It was like early summer. We rushed into the room, and then I didn't realize who was in this room. We set up our computer, our laptop, and we're ready. And I had the first glance into the room, and I just realized at this moment, hey man, these are just like the super top managers of Nestle, like English people, and gentlemen, like all in ties and whatever. And they just basically used us also as an example of how not to do it, right? No, first we started the presentation with German slides.
Yes, of course.
With German slides. And then he goes like, okay, hang on, just a minute. And he just realized that we were completely next to us. And then he told the other people, hey guys, you can go do your work. And then he took a coffee with us and explained us how business goes.
Yeah, and how to pitch at an international corporate company.
Exactly. And he was so nice to us, but he just said, hey guys, listen, this is a
yeah, but I remember, for me, it was like, okay, big fail. Okay, big fail. Next big fail. Okay.
Yes.
You took it also personally.
This chance.
Hey, we had this chance and we didn't use it. I remember very well.
Yes.
I think this is really something that we can really share this experience. So don't do a startup alone. Don't do it alone.
No.
Say like-minded, of course, but also different skills that you can cover these different roles that are needed in such a team.
It's crucial, as Brian mentioned, start talking about it. When you feel that you are in mental pressure, under mental health pressure, or you even realize that you are running into a burnout, it's very important that you start talking about that. And so this is exactly what this team is for. Like the co-founders, be candid to each other. It's totally normal that you have fights, that you argue all the time. That's part of the game. And so that's a good team.
Good point.
That's a good team. And this is the core point to be successful in a startup. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
See you next week. Write comments. Please subscribe our channel and see you next week. Bye. Thanks.